would agree with me. No single tree makes a forest. And we've talked about interacting with donors. We've talked about people you're trying to establish the project for. We've also talked about your role in getting the resources needed, which means there is always a place where you need to talk to people, and there's always a place where people need to take ownership of your project. And don't forget, like I said earlier on, you can't do all things by yourself. You need people who understand the vision, people who are ready to take the vision as theirs and run with it. The ability to manage these relationships with both donors, community members, and other stakeholders is going to take you far in the work you're trying to do as an organization. Also, it's going to determine how much you're going to survive out there. Therefore, there is no one way to maintain relationships. Always look at what are the best ways for you to maintain relationships. And I tell people all the time, donors most times don't even like you asking them for money all the time. They are also human beings like yourself and myself. They want to also see, do you care for me? Or all you care about is the money you want to get from me. So it's important for you to be able to manage those relationships without prejudice. Now, local ownership. Most of the time, for the work we do as civic tech leaders, as social entrepreneurs, as community mobilizers, and there's also a level of relationship management while we are talking about local ownership. Because local ownership is giving people the authority to own that project. And there's no other way to get people excited, to give people the sense of responsibility if there is no local ownership in place. When you come into a community and you look at the challenges they have, you don't just go ahead and implement the solutions you think. You pick it from the ground. Speak to the people. What are the solutions you think we should both put into place? When you put them into the consideration while planning, definitely you have found a way to make them own that solution at the end of your project. The sustainability of your project really, most of the time hinges on how community members are able to take ownership of that project. And every human being loves when they are being committed to responsibility. Because as humans, we always want to be responsible for one thing or the other. And for you might not necessarily live in the community. So definitely you need people who can continuously take the message forward. And as an example, trying to get people to get their permanent voters card, trying to get people to monitor the community project being implemented by the government, you definitely need community members to buy in. And if it's you try to even implement a project like digging boreholes, making roads, and all of that stuff, community members will be the ones to monitor the process for you, right? So definitely the sustainability of your project has a lot to do with local ownership. And eventually, don't forget, the reason why we started the whole project, the reason why we started the organization, the reason why we said we wanted to go into the field of social entrepreneurship is to make sure that people actually get better out of life. People actually get better out of their communities. People actually get the best thing, even if it's not the first class, at least have an experience of what life in a better environment can look like. So definitely, it's important to get them to own this project. Like I said earlier on, it's important to also understand that the beneficiaries, the community gatekeepers, the youth of the society, the students, the women of the society, who are beneficiaries of this project that you're trying to implement, needs to be well educated about this solution you're trying to bring into their society. Because once they are educated, once they know the right step to take, once they know the right channels to follow when they have complaints, definitely you have created a whole bridge that helps from implementation, monitoring, and even into the sustainability of that project. Don't forget, implementation, monitoring, and the sustainability of the project. All of these things are what makes you happy as a civic tech leader. All of these things are what makes you happy as a social entrepreneur. All of these things are what makes you happy as a community mobilizer. So we must try as much as possible to make sure we get local ownership at the top of our mind while project implementation is being carried out.